Arias Home Services has your shot at 4 tickets to see Green Bay take on the Purple in early January, plus $500 in game day cash. Register for your chance to win today on the KFAN contest page. That's KFAN.com/furnace to enter today.
Well, before Sunday's game, this would have sounded preposterous to me, but maybe that game in early January will be for the NFC North
on the line
division title. I know if I would have said that last week, you would have laughed uproariously and nominated me for PST. But the Vikings come up with a big win over the Motor City Kitties yesterday to go to 4-4 on the season. We were talking about the goal for victory. They beat a really bad Spartans team. They jumped out to an early lead. I think they had a 10-zippo lead. Ended up having to hang on and win in overtime to beat, like I say, a pretty bad Sparty team. So I sent out a text that said, a win is a win, but we shouldn't have to give PJ an extension. And then the attacks began.
Yeah.
Kyle, why our local media plays this game instead of supporting our teams is insane to me again. And then I got sidetracked, started talking about rooting for the Denver Broncos and blah, blah, blah. It's not my job to support the teams. That's not what media does. Now, some media members do that. I'm still a little old-fashioned that way. I think media's that's like, I talk about the Gardenhire Joy Buzzer beer can. I was told that if you got tight with Ron Gardenhire as a member of the media, you got invited to his office, and you sit down, and he would offer you beer, and he would push it toward you, and it was a Joy Buzzer beer can, so you'd grab it, it would go zzz, it'd be like the negatrometer, right? Go ahead, hit the negatrometer, kid. Tell me, I'll grab the Joy Buzzer beer can here. Then Gardy laughs, and Stelly laughs, and Lavelli, Neil laughs, and Suhan, and all the other Polad pocket protectors, right? They all laugh because they think it's funny. And you're thinking, man, I'm on the inside now. He invited me into his office, and I can call him Gardy.
Might even get a cell phone number.
Might even get a cell phone number. Well, and Gardy never seemed lonely to me. Denard did. Even with the frustrating wins and losses, PJ is the best coach we've had since Mason. He wins and gets us to bowl games. A wrong hire sets us back years, if not decades. How do we know that?
We haven't had many coaches since Mason either, have we?
Tracy Claeys won 8-4 and got fired, and I know there was some off the field stuff, and I don't know if it was all his fault. I don't even remember all the details, but Kill and Claeys were a pretty good combination. They weren't that bad.
He's better than Tim Brewster, I'll give him that.
Yeah. And he does a nice job, and the kids love him, but it's like, gets us to bowl games.
Which are meaningless.
Well, they are. We talked about that last week. They are exhibition games. Nothing more, nothing less. It's an excuse for fans that want to travel to hopefully we don't even always go to warm weather climates. Sometimes we go to Detroit or Memphis. Memphis in January, I suppose, high about 50 maybe. It's like, okay, if that's where you really want to go. Here's another. Come on, Dan. This isn't it. The floor is a lot higher now. Would a few pop-up seasons of 10-plus wins be nice? Yes. But I remember the dark days of Brewster. I have no interest in going back. So does there ever become any pressure on Fleck if we just continue to win, go 6-6 or 6-7? Go
win 6-7 games.
Yeah, win 6-7 games or go 7-6 or whatever. No, you can't go 7-6, can you? 7-5 and go to bowl games but continue to lose to the powerhouses, to get crushed by Ohio State, to get crushed by an Iowa team. That's still okay with you? Okay, that's fine. If that's what that does it for you, that's all good. And somebody who calls himself Gopher Insight sends me Big Ten conference games. By the way, it's Big 18 now. 2019, 11-01-25. From 2019 to now, 11-01-25. Minnesota's fifth in wins with 38. Ohio State's number one. They're 57-7 in that time frame. Michigan is 49-17. They lost 10 more games than. And you know what? If Michigan loses to the Ohio State University in the last game of the season, he might be out of a job. Iowa's 47-20. Penn State 46-22. And then there's Minnesota Gophers 38-29. Over 500. Indiana next at 36-31. They're about to pass up the Gophers. They're going to go into sixth place because Indiana wins football. Why can't we do what Indiana does? And again, nil, I understand it gets complicated. Be better at raising money. Here's another one from Eric. This is it. You're part of the problem. I'm part of the problem.
I always love that one.
Remember, that was a few years ago when we got an email. This was before our text line even. We got an email from somebody that said it was mine and Barrero's fault that the Gophers weren't winning because we were discouraged. They weren't getting any of the Burger King, Wendy's, Culver's, McDonald's, and Five Guys, all-American blue chip recruits because we were discouraging them from coming here by just telling the truth about the Gopher football program, that it wasn't very good, or their basketball program that's just not very good. They're not, and it really, I don't think we needed to say it. You can just see it by, if you watch any of the games or look at the standings and the results, you can tell. But then kids were going, well, because Barrero and Common talked. Think how preposterous that is. That we talked kids, 16, 17, and 18-year-old kids, we talked out of coming. They don't even listen to the fan. But we talked them out of coming here.
Yeah.
What else do we have? Whoa, are you saying I don't? Oh, no, that was the PJ, not Fleck. It's one of those, what do they call it?
Parody.
It was a parody. It says, whoa, are you saying I don't deserve it? Here's another. Best bet for our school is to keep PJ for another 20 years and try to get a few seasons where we could compete in playoffs. Not sure who you could come up with, the coach that could do better. If you cut the salary cap by 80% for an NFL team, it doesn't matter who the coach is. Huh? What does that mean? Well, all teams would be cut by 80%. Not sure who you could come up with, the coach that could do better. I would say the Franklin guy that just got fired from Penn State might be a good choice. I mean, I don't know. I know he lost some critical games there and got fired. Who's the guy that just got fired from LSU? He might be a better coach. I don't know, maybe not. But I mean, that's such a tired refrain. Who are you going to get that's better? People do that all the time. Mm-hmm. Who are you going to get that's better? Till you hire someone, I don't know.
It's also not your job to be searching the entire landscape of college football.
Here's another. Be patient. He's building. Give him some credit. How long has he been building? And I wasn't suggesting I was just saying we don't need to give him another extension. I don't think he should be fired. He's doing a fine job. It's all good.
It's what, year 9?
Yeah, but it's year 9.
Yeah.
He's the second, longevity-wise. There's only one coach that's been coaching in the Big Ten longer, and that would be the guy for Iowa's been there for 27 years, which I don't understand that either. Is it Ferentz? Is that how you pronounce it?
Yep.
They've not won a national championship since they've not even played in a national championship game, have they? How is he still there? And he's a fine guy, and I guess if you don't care in Iowa any more than that, it's all right. I just was stunned by all the people that were they seemed insulted. Here's another. Delusional take. But you know what his handle is? Gambling Gopher Man. So he's a Gopher fan. Delusional take. A bad hire could make a Gopher program miss bowls for 5 straight years, and we're looking at 20K crowds at HBS. Unless the weird Gopher hater / casual start actually supporting the team, PJ is this program's ceiling. So if all of a sudden the whole state, which I think most people support the Gopher program. I mean, I think most people live in the state of Minnesota like the Gophers, would like to see them do well. But so if we buy tickets to the game and cheer for them, that's going to make them play better? You're delusional. Gambling Gopher man, you're delusional. You don't understand how it works. Delusionality at its best.
Well, I also don't like how it's on the fans to make them perform better. That if the fans come, the team will play well, instead of if the team plays well, the fans will come.
That's usually how it's supposed to work anyway.
Yeah.
I could do the restaurant analogy if you want, but we'll save that for another time. We'll break. We'll come back. Tennessee's got a keyword for our national cash contest.
The Fan and 2 men in a junk truck want to give you a shot to win bonus bucks with our national cash contest. Enter the keyword check at KFAN.com now for a shot at winning. That keyword is check. Enter it now at KFAN.com. KFAN welcomes Trans-Siberian Orchestra for 2 amazing shows at Target Center on December 28th at 3 p.m. and 7:30 p.m. Tickets are on sale now. Get complete show details, including a link to buy tickets at KFAN.com keyword calendar.
13-14 pastime common. East Tennessee. Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line is blowing up Tennessee. It really is. Let's take a look at some of this Gopher conversation and some of the negative reaction to a tweet I sent after the Gopher game. Just one tweet at the very end of the game. I said, a win's a win. I thought that was being positive. Didn't you? If you watch the game, the Gophers didn't even deserve to win the game. They played terrible. They were playing just an awful Michigan State team, and they almost lost the game. So I thought it was being charitable. Hey, win's a win, but I don't think we need to give PJ another extension. All of a sudden, I read you some of the text messages I received. Here are some that have come in. It says, thank you for not giving the university that basically prints money any credit for their unexciting mediocrity. UMN alum. Here's another. Sets them back from what? Utter mediocrity? Remember, that's what a couple of people said, we set them back 20 years. So we're a slightly above average Big Ten program, at best, slightly above average. And with a couple of the performances we've seen this year, now Ohio State notwithstanding, I get that. Ohio State's pounding everybody for the most part, right? Iowa? 41-3? Really? And then we only kick the field goal just so we don't get shut out. What's it even a sense of kicking a field goal? Guess maybe give your place kicker some practice, I guess. Those Big Ten records are very skewed because Oregon, Washington, and USC have been better than the Gophers record-wise since they've joined the conference.
There's a lot of things. You can skew a lot of stats.
Yeah.
There's also a reason they picked 2019 as their starting point. Right. Instead of including 2018 and 2017. There's also a reason they didn't do it at 2020. And they wanted to go back to 2019 because 2019 was their best season.
That's correct.
Right. So all stats, or a lot of them can be skewed to have it fit your narrative.
You don't always have to trash Minnesota teams. Be better. I always like that, be better. Being better when it comes to handicapping or covering or what's the word I'm looking for? Analyzing sports teams. There's no such thing as being better. So, in other words, if you credit teams that don't deserve it, you're being better. Well, no, that's just because that's what you want to hear. It makes you feel better about yourself. I opened the show. We had a wonderful montage that said back on our feet again. Tennessee slapped together a wonderful montage with Viking highlights. We salivated over the performance. The Vikings, again, you can say, well, yeah, but you also said you've been waiting for 7 weeks. Well, we have. That's what I was expecting when the season started. That kind of performance, particularly from the defense. The defense has been god-awful for most of the season. And the offensive line was so beaten and battered, they were having trouble moving the ball, running the ball, throwing the ball, whatever the case may be. McCarthy, it looks like he has a chance to be a good player, but the jury is still people. I guess people now want me to say he should be the NFC offensive player of the week again. He was okay yesterday. He made some big throws under the circumstances.
Now, don't say that. You're going to get attacked now because that's what happened to me during the Vikings game yesterday. As I just made a comment as we were going along, because I just made a comment of, hey, J.J. McCarthy has missed a couple easy throws this last couple drives because he had a 2-drive stretch where he was missing pretty basic quarterback throws. These were not tough throws. The one where he just zinged it over Justin Jefferson when he's wide open. I mean, just put a little touch on it and he can go get it. And then, I started getting attacked for being too negative about J.J. Jefferson. I'm just pointing out.
Yeah, well, I know.
You're an NFL quarterback. I don't care how young you are. You need to make some of those throws.
I agree with you. And my guess is there was nothing in your tweets, in the tenor of them, that you were suggesting he should be cut, traded, or tarred and feathered and run out of town on a rail. You're just...
My tweet was, JJ has missed some pretty easy throws the past 2 drives. That's all it was.
I know, but people don't want to hear it.
And one person basically said that typical KFAN view, as if like we have groupthink here. We all think the same way.
You wouldn't understand it because you didn't participate in higher education. I was high every day at school. Every day I smoked.
You were high getting your education.
That's right. Here's the thing. I didn't need it. Do you need me to quote John Cougar Mellencamp? My lack of education never hurt me now, and I can read the writing on the wall.
Brilliant.
It wasn't Mellencamp, but I thought I'd say it anyways. Nebraska extended their dope and gave him a monster raise after getting throttled by the Gophers and squeaking one out against Northwestern. They did. They didn't want him to leave.
Yeah, but they're going to lose him.
Or all these checks from Justin Guard burner accounts. I guess that's possible.
Well, I'm sure he just gets it on the opposite end of the spectrum, right? He gets it that he's too positive. So then the negatives don't like when he tweets.
Sorry, Common, I do understand wanting better, but in the current college landscape, a Big 18 and Nail Gophers are a bottom quarter in money. PG does a great job with bad resources. Look at Nebraska firing Pelini. Where are they now? Look at Wisconsin firing Christ. Where are they now? College football is much different than even 5 years ago. Who is suggesting he be fired? That wasn't in my tweet. No. I said we don't need to give him another extension. He's gotten how many extensions since he got the job? Because
annually,
his agent is really, or somebody's really good at always. Now, I don't think anything nationally, and I don't even know if local. When Franklin got fired, they didn't throw his name out, did they? Did Fleck's name come up again? Because that's a way of getting that scares. Who's our athletic director?
Mark Coyle.
He gets really terrified of losing.
Well, wasn't Fleck in the UCLA rumors in this past offseason?
And with, I think, USC ones, I think with everything. It doesn't matter. Yeah, his name comes up, and I don't know if that's, and it might really be true, but I also think there's a distinct possibility. That's like, here's what's funny. You know, when there are people that still think that a soft benching of McCarthy is an inane conspiracy. Folks, don't fool yourselves. Don't kid yourselves, man. The coach said himself, this is a good time for him to take a step back. We got to get his eyes and his feet lined up again. He'll learn a lot watching Wentz, getting rid of the ball right away. That's what the coach saw in those first 2 games. He saw a kid that had no idea what he was doing, except for that one quarter, when I guess maybe he wasn't worried about lining up his eyes and his feet and just playing ball, just balling. He was really good in that 4th quarter against the Bears. You can't always believe everything an organization says or a university says or whatever. You can't always believe what a talk show host says. I lie for a living, but I'm honest about it. At least you know a lot of the times I'm lying. Let's I'm taking a look at a few more text messages. Got a couple of other topics I'd like to get to in the last segment of the Common Man program, along with Tana B right here on The Fan. And I mean, I guess truth be told, there are those that have complained about the performance of you and I would say to them, who are you going to find that's better? Maybe that's
Brilliant!
why we've been able to stay here as long as we have. Speaking of who are you going to find that's better, there was a time when Kurt Signetti was available. He was available. And if all Coyle had to do was Google him, he would have found his name. I mean, how did the Twins find Falvey? They were just thumbing through a media guy. Kurt Signetti was available. Indiana got him. Indiana wants me. Lord, I can't go back there. And I'm not saying that they should have fired Fleck to get Signetti, but it's just the idea that, well, who are you going to get that's better? Yeah. There's always up and coming coaches, other coaches you could lure away possibly. I mean, it's just that who you're going to get better is this. He's been
running a slightly better mediocre program.
Yeah. Well, and you're right, but
so there's worse out there.
Yeah, and this isn't even Fleck specific. It's just in general. There are other people that are, because again, who are you going to find this better? It appears that Kurt Signetti is, unless Indiana has got more nil money than God, and maybe they do, maybe that's part of it. But it's just the idea that, here's another one that says, Common, ask Nebraska how it's been going, having their entire state behind them and selling out their stadium every game, every year is going. They haven't been relevant since 2000 and beyond. Full-fledged state support is great, but it still takes more than that. They hold the record for most consecutive sellouts. They've sold out every game since like 1973. So that's proof positive that just having a support behind you and a fan base doesn't get you anywhere. This one says, hold on. I personally love the duality of KFAN's opinions regarding hometown teams. 9 to noon inflates the hopes of fans, and noon to 3 rolls around and returns the airship that is the Rube's excitement to the ground. Much needed. There you go. Just trying to bring a little balance to it. I don't want you to be hurt. I've told people that before. I'm trying to protect your best interests is what I'm trying to do. It's happened to me before.
Well, and over the course of time, the last 20, 25 years, which approach has been more accurate?
Wait, what? Say that again?
I'm just saying, over the course of the last 20, 25 years, which approach, which mindset has been more accurate in terms of how the teams have been performing?
Negativity.
I mean, that the selling of the Ope hasn't turned out very well.
So CBS Sports is doing, I love this, NFL Week 9 panic meter. So they have teams listed, and then they have a panic meter. And
Aruga.
And the panic meter consists of, they've got like flashing lights, like on, from a police car, from car 54. The old school, the cherry on the top, right? Remember those old? You might not be aware. Have you ever heard of a show called Adam 12? Adam 12 was a cop show back in the 70s. It was McCoy. No, there were two cops. It was just two cops on a beat, and it was a show about them doing cop stuff, and it was called Adam 12. One Adam 12. Call to 1314 Insane Lane. Someone's window has been broken, and Timberwolves tickets have been left on the dash. 1 Adam 12, felony in progress. When that happened to me, the cops said breaking the window is a misdemeanor, leaving the tickets as a felony. So 1 cherry on top is a low panic level. 2 is medium panic level. 3 of them tend to be as high panic level. For the Indianapolis Colts, did they lose their second game?
Yeah.
Their panic meter is just 1 cherry on top.
Sure.
It says, the Colts have looked like a machine for most of this year.
Coming into Sunday, they were leading the league in almost every offensive category, with Jonathan Taylor looking like the best running back in the NFL and Danny Jones playing at the highest level of his career. Going up against a Pittsburgh Steelers defense that had been getting torn asunder by basically everybody, it looked like things were set up for the Colts to go off yet again, but that's very much not what happened. Instead of going off, the Colts imploded against Pittsburgh. Jones turned back into the turnover machine he was during his time with the Giants. 3 picks, fumbled 3 times, 2 of them being recovered by the other team. Yes, he gave the ball away 5 times. Taylor also just rushed for 45 yards and 14 carries. The defense, which has been suspect at times this year, did give up 27 points, but also held the Steelers to 5.8 yards per pass attempt and 1.7 per rush. All that said, the Colts are still 7-2, and they have a multi-game lead in the AFC South, no matter what happens with the Jaguars in their Sunday afternoon game against the Raiders. What did happen to the Jaguars in that game? They won, didn't they?
They won by a point.
Yeah.
They won in overtime because Vegas went for 2.
10-B, Green Bay Packers panic meter.
Well, but before you move on to Green Bay, I just want to make one comment on the Colts.
Yes.
Given how many turnovers they had yesterday and the fact that some of them were in their own territory, putting Pittsburgh in great position to score, the fact they lost that game by 7 is actually pretty impressive, given how badly they gave it away, and to only lose by 7 points to a competent team.
Yes. Green Bay Packer panic meter, all 3 tend to be Aruga.
Really?
Yeah, it says, for the second time this season, the Packers lost to a team that had no business giving them a legitimate scare. They'd already lost to the Browns earlier in the year, and on Sunday they fell to the Panthers, losing at home on a last-second field goal. At this point, the Packers seemingly play up or down to their level of competition in any given week. Since that ridiculously hot 2-week start where they smoked the Lions and the Commanders, they're just 3-2-1 with losses to Cleveland and Carolina in a tie against the Cowboys and wins over only the Bengals in Joe Flacco's first game with the new team, and the Cardinals with Jacoby Brissett under center, and then the Steelers last week.
They could have lost that one.
Yes. Even the wins weren't exactly convincing, with the Packers prevailing by just 9 against the Bungles and leading by 6 until very late, and 4 against the Cards and trailing with less than 2 minutes left in the game. They led more comfortably against Pittsburgh last week, but that's looking more like the exception than the rule. The Packers are 5-2-1 and still hold a lead in the NFC North, but every team in the division is 500 or better now. And considering the expectations that people have coming into the year and the schedule they face since their aforementioned hot start, it's definitely a disappointment that they are where they are at this point in the season.
Yeah,
my only response to that would be...
The schedule does change for them. And not that it's an overly difficult schedule, but the cupcakes are behind them. They still have the Vikings and Bears twice, at Detroit, Philly, at Denver is going to be a hard one, Baltimore at home, and then at the Giants, or the combination of games.
The Lions have 2 cherries, police cherries, for their panic meter. So not full-blown panic, but not, no big deal. It says the Lions, like the Packers, lost a game they probably should have won and did so in their own stadium. Detroit was nearly a double-digit favorite against division rival Minnesota on Sunday, but instead allowed the Vikings to grab an early lead and largely control the game from start to finish. Wasn't exactly the same because they didn't get blown out, but it was reminiscent in some ways of how they lost to the Packers in Week 1, where they just couldn't get much going offensively and were playing catch-up mode for almost the entire afternoon. Really, that's how things have gone in all 3 of Detroit's losses so far this year, because they went down early and couldn't play the way they want to play against the Chiefs as well. It's at least somewhat worrisome that they seemingly get out of rhythm and find themselves unable to run the ball successfully or get into their play action passing game when they go down, especially if the deficit gets to multiple scores. They're a team that's built to play from ahead and lean on their opponents until they wilt, but that only works when you actually get the lead. In the big picture, Lions are still 5-3 and probably in pretty good position to make a playoff run, but they had a chance to move into first place in the division here thanks to Green Bay's loss, but instead looking up at the Packers in the standings and now have 2 division losses, which could obviously be something that comes into play in what looks like it will be a very close NFC North race, with the Vikings at 2-0 in the division. And so I think they summed it up. That was a game you thought Detroit probably should win. And, they made it closer than the score. It seemed to be a little closer than it was because they got that late score, right? They made that was a brilliant pass by Goff. And when the way Williams tiptoed the sideline and got in at the pylon,
And all of a sudden, it's a 3-point game, and then the Vikings are facing a 3rd and 6. If they don't get the first down, Detroit's going to get a chance. Detroit almost stole that game. But you know what, Tennessee? They didn't. And so the Vikings win, and so they live to play another day. And so this is kind of how I thought the division would be. We talked about it at the beginning of the year. We thought Packers-Lions, I thought Packers-Lions-Vikings was coin flip, pick 'em, right? I was high on the Packers because I like Jordan Love a lot, and I like, youngest team in the NFL, defense is aggressive and young, but it was spelled out here pretty well.
I thought they'd just be an okay team until they made the Micah trade. And I'm like, that was a big deal for that defense.
Then I thought the Vikings, because I bought into that is the danger of spending a lot of money on veteran free agents that are on the other side of 30, tend to be the wrong side of 30, as the kids like to say, because you just never know how they're going to perform. Hargrave, you saw his quotes, right? He had not played well. He had a terrific game yesterday. And he admitted that the benching humbled him. It's like, dude, because he started not playing as much because he wasn't performing. Despite his huge contract, he wasn't performing. There was a quote in the story today from him, basically saying, it was humbling. And so, but he played better. And so, but I expected those guys to play well, even though you always have your fingers crossed on free agents, right? On the wrong side of 30 at big money. I didn't know what to expect from McCarthy for sure, but I thought I bought into the quarterback whisperer and having enough pieces around him. And again, McCarthy, he's been good, sort of. At least he was yesterday. The numbers weren't big, but he made some big plays when he had to make them. And that's a good sign. Detroit's actually a little disappointing. I mean, I know that a lot of people expected, with the two coordinators gone, the offensive and defensive coordinator, Glenn goes to New York, Johnson goes to Chicago. In the first week, it looked like Detroit was missing something offensively. The next 2 weeks, they're back up scoring nearly 50 points back-to-back games. Looked like all was right with the world with Detroit, but maybe they are missing a little bit because I mentioned that stat they showed yesterday. I think it was 20 different times Lions this year have had 3rd and 10 or more, and they've not converted once. And that wasn't like them in the past. But you saw yesterday when they when they scored the opening drive, was that 4th and 4? They just go. They're not kicking field goals unless, like, they have to kick the field goal after Goff got the PA when PA went absolutely berserk with the sack call. They had to there. It's because that was a 3rd and 6 or something. Now it was going to be 4th and 17. Well, you're not going for it on 4th and 17.
Kansas City converted like a 4th and 16 yesterday in the fourth quarter. And there was still enough time left where that was kind of and they made it, but it was a pretty gutsy decision because there was still enough time where you would have had, I think they're down 2 scores at the time. And you still would have had time for 2 different drives, but that was just hey, we're not doing well stopping Buffalo. So we got to keep the ball in our offense's hands. And Mahomes made a play to Rashee Rice.
Yeah. Here, it was Reed and Malloy were the 2 police officers in Adam 12. Here it is again, tell me, it's just so good. 2 people are saying that the Williams touchdown catch was pass interference. Of course you thought that because
Pete was melting down about that on the air.
Because here's what happens is, first of all, let's even say for argument's sake it was, and it wasn't. But let's say it was. You don't think that that's ever happened and I guarantee you the Vikings have had calls go their way, and I not narrate it. It is with any fan base. I'm not even trying to pick on Vikings fans. Any fan base thinks their team never commits a penalty and that their team is always the victim of a penalty that's not called. It doesn't work that way. Sorry.
It was a slight push. I don't think it was egregious. No. I don't think it was an obvious, how do you not call that?
No, it wasn't.
I will say...
And you see that all the time on almost every pass play. When you watch the replay in slow motion, there's a guy grabbing a little bit of jersey or a guy pushing off here. It happens all the time, folks. Just deal with it. Just accept the fact that sometimes there's not going to be a flag thrown.
What bothered me the most in that game yesterday from a Vikings perspective, and I apologize, I'm about to get negative about the Minnesota Vikings. So if you don't like hearing that, be prepared to send an instant, there's nothing to be negative about. I love me some KOC. The decision to run the ball on 2nd and goal, to throw the ball on 2nd and goal and 3rd and goal on their last field goal drive they had.
Yep.
You're up 7 points, and there was, 3.5, 4 minutes on the clock. And it's a gimme field goal from there. You're going to be up 2 possessions. You need to milk the clock while also still giving yourself a chance to score, which you could have in the run game.
Yep.
And to throw the ball and have an incomplete pass on second down and then attempt it again on third made absolutely zero sense to me.
I tend to agree.
You could have drained that clock to the point where you'd have been up 10, and it would have been much more challenging for Detroit to come back because they would have had 2 less timeouts.
And I wonder because there are certain situations in ball games that I am 99.9% always in agreement with. And that was on 3rd and 6 when the Vikings iced the game, throwing the ball. You had some questions regarding the pass pattern they threw, because that was a tough little pass that was one of those touch passes in a dangerous spot that McCarthy had to complete, but he did. But I guarantee you there are Viking fans that had the pass been incomplete and Detroit won the game, they would say, I don't know how you're not running the ball there. You can't do that. You got to run the ball, milk some more of the clock, punt it to Detroit, and leave your defense a chance to just stop Detroit. And you can make that argument. But I've always been, that's like, I'm sorry, if I've got the Gophers didn't do it on Sunday, or on Saturday. Do I have the right game? Did the Gophers tie the game late and then kick an extra point to send it to overtime? They could have tried to win the game right then and there with a 2-point conversion. But that's dangerous to do. I kind of like going for 2-point conversions and ending the game before you get to overtime, but you got to also take in.
There's a lot of variables.
There's a lot of
depending
variables.
on what game.
That's exactly who you're playing, how your team has been playing, what do you got? Do you have a healthy running back you trust? Is your offensive line in still good shape? There's a lot, like you say, a lot of intangibles. Here's one that says the roughing the QB call against the Lions was a gift for the purple. I didn't hear one person complain about that.
Awful call.
Is there a Viking fan that's going to tell me that was an awful call?
Now, the first one where Hutchinson kind of put his leg out and kicked him, I'm fine with that call. Because I think he didn't try to do. I think he intentionally tried to do that.
He did. He leg whipped.
Second one's one of the most ridiculous calls I've ever seen.
But I haven't heard from any Viking fans other than the Lake Wobegon baseball guy who just said it was a bad call. Because you know what they think? Because it didn't go against their, and that's all fan bases everywhere. It doesn't matter what city you're in, what sport it is. That's just the way fan bases are. I never complain about officiating. The only time you do is when it's really like where they actually try to Rams Saints NFC Championship game, where it was just like, dude, that's PI. You got to call that. And they didn't, right? That's where they changed the rule to make it reviewable. I mean, when they were egregious, but when it's those ticky-tack that could go either way, I'm sorry, man. You just got to deal with it. Do you remember when when Detroit, one of the rare times they were in the playoffs, this is about 6, 7, 8 years ago against Dallas in a wild card game? They threw a penalty against Dallas and they picked the flag up off, and then Dallas won the game. Due in large part because they picked that flag back up. Well, that's what happens. I didn't complain about it at all because it's just the way it is. You just got to accept it.
How about the Justin Jefferson catch, non-catch? Where it was a low throw by McCarthy. Jefferson kind of got his arms under it last second.
I thought that was a catch.
I thought it was a catch too.
Yeah.
Because did the ball hit the ground? Yes, but it's okay to hit the ground. If you have possession of it first, and the ball did not shift, I didn't think, after it hit the ground. So to me...
And they ruled it incomplete, right?
I think they called it a catch.
Or did they call
first,
it
and then
and
Campbell threw out the red flag.
And they called it incomplete. Yeah, I thought that was a catch as well. But again, that is one of those where, depending upon the camera angle, and I know New Yorkers reviewing it, sometimes they're just really difficult. You can say, huh? So, but yeah, that was. There are times where you see a call, but they're just like. I roll my eyes, shrug my shoulders, and shake my head at fans that. I've talked about this before. I've experienced it watching baby brother Peter play basketball for 10 years. Fans on both sides, no matter if it was Eastridge fans thinking we got a bad call, or whoever we're playing, Lakeville, North, South, Woodbury, Stilly, whoever it was. It's always, we're getting jobbed by the officials. And it's like, no, you're not. The official's not trying to job your club. He doesn't care. He's calling them as he sees them. All I know, Teneby, is it's a jam-packed NFC North, exactly as I predicted it would be at the beginning of the season. I even said the Bears would be in the mix, and they're right there at 5-3. It's fun.
Objects in your mirror may be closer than they appear.
The Lions play the Commanders. Vikings have the Ravens. Who do the Packers have? I forget. This upcoming week.
The Green Bay Packers have Go Eagles. E-A-G-L-E-S.
And then what about the Bears?
That's a Monday night game. Hold on.
By the way, thanks for having me.
They got the Giants at home.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, great job.
You as well. We enjoyed our visit with you today. 1 o'clock tomorrow, PJ Flex Show at 12 noon. And then Mark Rosen, the legendary one, joins us at 1 o'clock. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Listen back to any of Common Man's programs by podcasting on the iHeartRadio app or KFAN.com.